You know the songs, right? The second you turn on a classic rock radio station, there they are. The Joker, Fly Like an Eagle, Rockin' Me. These aren't just songs, they're pretty much the wallpaper of rock music. But the story of how they got there? Well, it's way more interesting than you'd think.
Yeah, that sound is just unmistakable, isn't it? Those catchy hooks, that super slick guitar. But these guys, these polished rock gods you see here, they didn't always look or sound like this. Not even close. In fact, their journey is one of the wildest and most successful reinventions in all of music history. So, how in the world does a psychedelic blues band from San Francisco turn into the hit-making machine we all know? All right, let's dive in. Okay, so Section 1, San Francisco Blues. To really get this massive change, we've got to jump in a time machine and head back to the mid-60s. Trust me, the band we're going to find there is a completely different beast, born right in the heart of the counterculture. And man, things moved fast back then. So in '65, Steve Miller's kicking around the Chicago blues scene. Just 1 year later, bam, he's in San Francisco, right where the action is. By '67, they're playing the legendary Monterey Pop Festival, and that performance, it was a game changer. It landed them a huge contract with Capitol Records. And here's a little clue about what's coming. The label suggests they drop blues from their name, to reach a bigger audience. Definitely a sign of things to come. Whoa. Okay, this picture, this says everything, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the 1969 band, looking like they stepped right out of a Haight-Ashbury acid trip. Total psychedelic vibe. And on the other, a way more polished mainstream rock star look. It's kind of crazy, and this visual whiplash is the perfect preview for the musical whiplash that's on its way. So in this early psychedelic phase, they're making a name for themselves. Albums like Children of the Future and Sailor got them on the charts. They were respected, for sure. But let's be honest, they weren't superstars yet. They were a cool, solid, psychedelic blues act. But here's how cool they were. They were so connected that Paul McCartney, that Paul McCartney, played on one of their tracks, My Dark Hour, under a fake name. He did bass, drums, vocals, the whole shebang. And of course, it wouldn't be a '60s rock band story without some classic misadventures, right? So get this. They go to London in '68 to record their first album, and the whole band gets arrested. The charges sound super serious: imported drugs and a dangerous firearm. But it turns out the firearm was just a flare gun they were using as a wall decoration. And the drugs, a friend had sent them a fruitcake with a little bit of hash baked into it. Yeah, the charges got dropped pretty fast. All right, Section 2. The Joker's pivot. So after all those years of being this cool, respected, but kind of mid-level band, Steve Miller decides, you know what? Enough of this. They make a conscious choice to completely flip the script. No more psychedelic deep cuts. They were gunning for the pop charts. Big time. And the year is 1973. This is the moment. This is where everything changes. When they put out their album, The Joker, it wasn't just a slow change of pace. No way. It was a hard left turn, a total break from the past. The psychedelic fog was lifting, and what came out was crystal clear and catchy as hell. And did it work? Oh yeah, it worked. The title track, The Joker, shot straight to #1, their first ever chart-topping single. Just like that. And we're not talking about a small hit. That single sold over 7 million copies. I mean, can you imagine? That huge gamble on a totally new sound, it paid off bigger than they could have ever dreamed. So let's just be super clear about what this pivot really was. Before The Joker, you had this complex, sprawling, psychedelic blues stuff. Long arrangements, very album-focused. After The Joker, it's all about straightforward rock. It's about giant, catchy melodies. The goal wasn't to take you on a 40-minute journey. It was to get a hook stuck in your head for 3. Okay, Section 3, a decade of hits. And here's the thing. The Joker wasn't just a lucky shot. It was like they found the magic key. And that key unlocked a door to a solid decade of just owning the charts. They figured out the formula, and man, were they about to run with it. And I mean, what a run. A few years later, they dropped 2 massive albums, Fly Like an Eagle and Book of Dreams. And from just those 2 records, look at this list. Rockin' Me goes to #1. Fly Like an Eagle, Take the Money and Run, Jet Airliner. These songs basically are classic rock radio. They were an absolute hit-making machine, simply unstoppable. And it wasn't just the singles either. The albums themselves were massive. Just look at these chart positions. The Joker album hits #2. Fly Like an Eagle hits #3.
Book of Dreams, back up to number 2. I mean, think about that. 3 albums in a row, all in the top 3. That is a band at the absolute peak of their powers.
So, Section 4, an enduring legacy. Now, obviously, the crazy string of top 10 hits couldn't last forever. But by the time the 70s were over, it didn't matter. The legacy was set in stone. That great pivot they made didn't just make them superstars. It created a catalog of music that is, well, timeless. And if you need proof, just look at this number. Their greatest hits album from that era has sold over 15 million copies. Let that sink in. 15 million. That's more than most artists sell in their entire careers. It just shows how perfectly they captured that pop rock sound.
So in 2016, they get the big call, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the ultimate honor, right? Well, it got a little messy. See, the induction was for Steve Miller, the solo artist, not the Steve Miller Band. All the other guys who co-wrote and played on those iconic hits, they were left out. And you know who was really not happy about it? Steve Miller himself. He basically said that if they'd asked him, he would have handed them a list of every single person who was ever in the band and said, they all ought to be here. He knew it was a team effort. And that really leaves us with a pretty big question, one that's way bigger than just the Steve Miller Band. What defines a band's legacy? Is it the vision and voice of its singular leader, or is it the collective chemistry of everyone who contributed along the way? It's a debate that lies at the very heart of rock and roll.